Hello everyone, I'm Dita and I will be sharing the findings of my report on the carbon emissions and fuel energy density for coal and nuclear power plants. The goal of this report is to provide insights into the merits of each power source and address the need for cleaner energy alternatives. Human industrial development has caused a rapid rise in global temperatures and increased greenhouse gas emissions. To meet growing electricity demands while combating climate change, we must consider cleaner energy sources. Nuclear fission and coal are two frontrunners for baseload power generations. In the following figures, we show how each one generates power. In Figure 1, we have a schematic representation of a nuclear fission power plant, which showcases the process of converting heat to electricity through the use of turbines. And in Figure 2, we have the schematic of a coal-fired power plant, where the combustion of coal is utilized to produce heat for electricity generation. This report is limited in its scope and will focus on comparing carbon dioxide emissions and the fuel energy density of nuclear and coal-fired power plants, without considering their cost or public opinion surrounding them. For our first criteria of comparison, we will be using carbon dioxide emissions, which are measured in grams of carbon dioxide equivalent per kilowatt hour. According to IPCC estimates, coal-fired power plants have direct emissions ranging from 610 grams of carbon dioxide per kilowatt hour to 870. But when considering the life cycle emissions, including the albedo effect, these numbers increase to a maximum of 910 grams of carbon dioxide equivalent per kilowatt hour, but with a median of 820. Nuclear power plants, on the other hand, have zero direct emissions, and their life cycle emissions range from 3.7 grams of carbon dioxide equivalent per kilowatt hour to 110, with their median being around 12 grams of carbon dioxide equivalent per kilowatt hour. For our second criteria of comparison, we will use energy density, which measures the number of megajoules contained within a kilogram of fuel. The main type of coal used for power generation, bituminous coal, has an approximate energy density of 24 megajoules per kilogram. However, the main fuel used in nuclear power plants, uranium-235, possesses a remarkable energy density of 79 million megajoules per kilogram, as stated by whatisnuclear.com. This figure, provided by the Department of Energy, illustrates that the energy contained within a single uranium pellet is equivalent to that produced by 1 ton of coal. Here is a more lighthearted depiction showing the vast difference in energy densities between nuclear and power fuel sources. This report concludes that nuclear power plants have zero direct carbon dioxide emissions, with a median life cycle emission of 12 grams of carbon dioxide equivalent per kilowatt hour. With a fuel source boasting an energy density of 79 million megajoules per kilogram, nuclear power demonstrates clear advantages. In contrast, coal power plants generate around 760 grams of carbon dioxide equivalent per kilowatt hour in direct emissions, rising to 820 when considering life cycle emissions, with a fuel source that has an energy density of 24 megajoules per kilogram. Based on these findings, it is evident that nuclear power surpasses coal power in terms of lower carbon dioxide emissions and significantly higher energy density. Consequently, this report strongly recommends prioritizing the development and adoption of nuclear power as a cleaner and more efficient alternative to coal-fired power plants. Thank you very much for your time in this exploration of carbon dioxide emissions and fuel energy density in nuclear and coal power plants. By making informed decisions regarding our energy sources, we can strive to a more sustainable and greener future. I'm available to answer any questions on this topic at my email on the slide. On this slide, I've listed all my reference sources. Please feel free to browse at your leisure.